everybody, welcome back to another episode of Like a Boss with me, Lauren. Today we are talking about procrastination. It's that tricky little issue that I know is very difficult for all of us, particularly at the moment while we're all working from home. So let's get into it and chat about what procrastination is and what are some simple, basic solutions to start to overcome it. So procrastination is basically when we put off doing something that needs to be done. Duh, right? But while the explanation of procrastination is simple, dealing with procrastination is a different matter entirely. I am guilty of it. Your lecturers are guilty of it. Your fellow students are guilty of it. In fact, according to one study, 95% of students report some degree of procrastination, with 50% reporting consistent and problematic procrastination. During my PhD, I became really good at what I would call proactive procrastination. So this was when I would do tasks that were related to my PhD, like admin, replying to emails, checking my references, but it wasn't actually writing. And writing was what I actually needed to be doing. And this was a problem because it meant that I got to feel like I was being productive, but I wasn't actually doing the right work. I use this to illustrate the fact that procrastination doesn't necessarily always look like just like browsing the internet or watching too much TV. So the question of why we procrastinate is very complex, far more complex than I can cover in this single vlog. What's important to know though is that procrastination is not necessarily a problem of laziness or poor time management skills. It's actually a way of coping with challenging and negative emotions. And these emotions can be triggered or enhanced by tasks that make us feel bored, anxious, frustrated, resentful, or insecure. We might worry about our ability to perform well, the consequences of not achieving a particular result, or how we're going to tackle a problem. And this can be as simple as, I don't know where to find good resources for this report, or I just don't find this topic interesting. Or it can be far more deep-seated, something like, I don't think I'm smart enough for this, or what if I do a bad job? When we're confronted with these challenges, we're compelled to find the easiest solution to them: avoidance. It's only human to not want to confront negative emotions. Plus, most of us are already dealing with a huge range of very complex emotions in response to COVID-19, so it's not at all surprising that procrastination might become a bigger problem than normal for us. However, by procrastinating, we're often just making things worse. Not only do we not complete the task, we compound these negative feelings. We can start to blame ourselves, feel guilty, and struggle with low self-esteem. And this can become a kind of vicious cycle of negativity. If you feel like you're really struggling to overcome this cycle, I very highly recommend Dr. Gareth's Studyology series for some techniques to deal with the discomfort and panic that arises in response to procrastination. He's starting a new Studyology program from the Thursday, the 21st of May. So join the Oasis online flow page for those sessions and for information about the upcoming Mindfulness for Academic Success sessions. Gareth has also developed an entire procrastination workbook to help you understand more about what procrastination is, reflect on your own habits and priorities, and to learn some practical techniques to overcome it. But for now, here's some simple tips to get you started in that journey of learning how to deal with procrastination. The first thing is planning. Now, procrastination happens at 2 points. The first is at the beginning of a project when we try to make a start, but all the difficulties of that task start to dawn on us. We become a little bit overwhelmed and we distract ourselves. The problem is that the task is far enough away that we don't yet have the motivation of that kind of ticking time bomb to push us along. The second point is when we've left things to the last minute, and instead of time becoming a motivating factor that's pushing us along, it becomes a source of panic. And we try to ease this panic by, you guessed it, distracting ourselves. As both of these issues stem from a problem of getting started, we need to try to make this process as easy as possible. And to do this, we want to make tasks that seem huge and overwhelming feel achievable. So first, we want to try goal setting. Having big abstract to-do lists with items like clean the house or write an essay are not helpful. Why? Because they're daunting. Nobody wants to clean the house or wants to write an essay. And the idea of even approaching them can make us feel really overwhelmed. Besides, where do you even start with huge tasks like that? And when we feel that way, we are way more likely to procrastinate. So we need to create achievable, realistic to-do lists that will help us build our way up to our goals. First, write a big goal list. So these are those things like clean the house or write an essay. Then consider each small step that builds towards that bigger goal. For example, if that long-term goal is to, learn the guitar, you need to consider each small step that will go towards achieving it, such as learning each chord or practicing for 20 minutes a day. So break down each item into small tasks that are specific and achievable, and turn these into a short-term to-do list. You might consider writing a daily, weekly, and monthly to-do list and keep these somewhere that you can see them. The second part of this is prioritizing. Now, beating the procrastination monster also means we need to figure out not just what to do, but prioritize when we do it. Most days will have a mix of urgent tasks, important tasks, and not so important tasks. Urgent tasks are those that need to be done immediately. Important tasks are those that, if you start now, are less likely to become last-minute urgent tasks. And non-important tasks are those that we should do, but there won't be big consequences for not doing immediately. These tasks are the things that have the potential to become fodder for that proactive procrastination I was talking about before. So, I want you to take that to-do list and grade each task as urgent, important, or not so important. Estimate how long each task will take you and be realistic. We are terrible as humans for underestimating time. Create a daily to-do list based on this prioritized list that gets your urgent tasks out of the way first, followed by the important tasks, and then finally the not so important tasks. And know that if you don't get everything done in a day, that is okay. Write the remaining items on tomorrow's list. A word of warning though, creating elaborate plans can become a form of proactive procrastination. Try not to be consumed by the planning task itself, because this is just another way of putting things off when they need to be done now. So make sure you're planning sensibly. Next, try to give yourself clear time frames. So once we have some achievable goals, a priority, and an idea of how long they might take us, we need to actually set aside that time to do them and use that time effectively. I have talked in the past about the idea of setting aside specific study sessions of about 2 hours each. But within each of these 2-hour blocks, we can break them down even more. Research shows that 20 to 45-minute time intervals can maximize our attention and mental activity if followed by a short break. It encourages consciousness, concentration, and clear-minded thinking. If you're a particularly bad procrastinator, even just 5 to 10 minutes of solid work can be a really good start. Often that is enough time to just get a little bit engaged with the task and energized to keep working. I suggest the Pomodoro method. The Pomodoro method breaks up time into 25-minute chunks with a 5-minute break. It's a little bit like doing interval training at the gym. Work hard for a short burst, get a break, then get back to it. Every 4 Pomodoros, you get to take a longer 20-minute break. What I really like about this method is that a 25-minute period is short enough that it doesn't feel overwhelming. It's enough to be able to tell your brain, all right, it's just 25 minutes. You can do that. Sit down and work for just 25 minutes. But during these 25 minutes, it's important to put away distractions. So close those browser tabs that aren't relevant, put your phone on silent, drop the snack, and just work. The feeling of knowing that you can check all that stuff, that you can check your notifications, that you can get a snack, can really help your focus, because you're not forbidding yourself from doing these things. You're just restricting them to a certain time. Then when that 25 minutes is up, Go for it. My next big tip is to know yourself. For some of us, having small goals and set aside study time isn't enough. We still can't be trusted. We still find ourselves mindlessly scrolling Instagram or creating elaborate Spotify study playlists. So here's my last big tip. Know thyself. Pay attention to the things that distract you and make a plan for overcoming them. Find yourself browsing YouTube or Reddit for too long? Turn off Wi-Fi during your study sessions or use apps and programs that block access to those websites. Keep getting distracted by the notifications that pop up on your phone? Put it on airplane mode. Accidentally binge watching Netflix? Turn off autoplay. Yes, you can do that. Keep pushing back your study sessions? Set an alarm on your phone. And can't keep yourself on track? Email your goals to a friend to make yourself accountable. Importantly, reward yourself. If you can keep yourself on track and complete a task, remember that you can enjoy free time without guilt or anxiety. And this is because you know that your rewards are deserved and those icky guilt feelings can be put to bed. You can also use rewards as motivators. Once you've ticked off a few urgent and important items from your to-do list, allow yourself the freedom to do what you want. Watch some Netflix, bake a cake, get into a Twitter feud. Whatever rocks your boat, I don't know, but remember to enjoy it. Notice yourself enjoying it and notice how much better you feel doing these activities without all of that work hanging over your head. Let's hear from a couple of our students to see how they've been dealing with procrastination.
Procrastination has always been an issue for me. For example, in completing my assignments. I found it very challenging to finish it because I don't know what to do, or it's overwhelming, or sometimes I found it difficult even to get started. And all day long I keep thinking about it, and then I got more stress add to myself. So the way that I deal with my procrastination, let's say in completing my assignment, is to break it down into a small task and give each task a deadline. And also I keep telling myself that I want to do it, so it makes me feel better. Yeah. Thank you.
I would say that I really started understanding my procrastination and being able to kind of overcome it when I understood where it was coming from. I did a topic last year at uni, which is the psychology of thriving and surviving. By doing that module, I actually really identified that a lot of my procrastination comes from these unrelenting high standards that I've kind of always set for myself. And because I set these standards that I'm never quite going to achieve, I'm associating all these negative feelings with studying and never really feeling good about what I've done, even when I'm doing well. So now, because I've kind of tackled that by being really self-forgiving with myself, if I'm not quite achieving to a level, I've reduced some of the standards that I set for myself. I will break up goals that I'm trying to achieve so that I'm only trying to tackle really small things at a time, celebrating my wins as I go, those 3 achievable tasks each day, so that I'm always kind of plodding away at things. I still get to do all the fun stuff that I wanted to do, but I'm getting a little bit done. I'm chipping away at the mountain of work that I've got.
Normally, procrastination is one of the biggest things, but I procrastinate by doing other work. So I start other projects and other initiatives, and it means that I start all these other things that are really important and I get really passionate about. And if there's an essay that I'm not super keen on, it becomes the last thing I do, and it's very hard for me then to submit it and get started on it. Since being at home, I think I've actually been forced not to procrastinate because I don't have options. It's kind of like, oh, all the other projects I'm working on are gone, so I guess I should study. So I think I've actually improved my study habits, strangely. But procrastinating is still a thing, and I still have some lectures that I need to catch up on, but I'm working hard on it, and hopefully we'll catch up by the end of the week.
Now, it's important to note that while these techniques can definitely help, there's no magic fix for procrastination or for actually doing the work. That is always going to be hard, but at the end of the day, the work is also not going anywhere. And the most important thing that will help you overcome procrastination is your attitude and your commitment. If you've tripped up and find yourself having a bad procrastination day, that's okay. You can always try again. Make a new plan, reset that Pomodoro timer, and get back into it. Just because you might fail once, it doesn't mean that this is something that you should give up on. Now, as I said at the top of the vlog, procrastination is a very complex issue. And if it's something that you truly struggle with, I have some resources in the blog. So check out those links. I've got workbooks, there's blogs, there's videos, all kinds of things that might help you. But just remember, try not to use these as a form of procrastination. That's all for this week. Next week, I'm going to be joined by Dr. Gareth himself, who's going to talk to us about some more stress management techniques. So remember, check out the links in the blog. Hopefully you're doing all right in this week 9, and I'll see you all soon.